They didn't just tear down her shed, they applauded while it fell. The wood shattered under the excavator's claw. Neighbors stood in clusters, pretending to be shocked while secretly enjoying the spectacle. Someone even clapped when the roof caved in. Karen stood front and center like a director at opening night. Pearl earrings, clipboard tucked under her arm, that tight smile she wore whenever she thought she had won. Rules are rules, she said loudly, making sure Naomi could hear her from the porch. Naomi didn't argue. She didn't cry. She didn't even step forward. She simply watched. If you love powerful stories, you don't want to miss this. But before we continue, tell us where you are watching from. It makes us happy to see how far our stories travel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Naomi Brooks was the quiet one on the block. Soft-spoken, perfect lawn, always paid dues early, the kind of neighbor Karen described as manageable. The shed, according to Karen, violated Section 8.4, aesthetic harmony, too dark, too bold, disruptive. What Karen failed to mention was that Naomi had submitted architectural approval months ago, and what Karen absolutely did not know, Naomi specialized in real estate litigation, and HOA misconduct was her favorite kind of case. As the final beam crashed to the ground, Karen turned triumphantly toward the crowd. Naomi pulled out her phone and smiled. She expected anger, maybe even shouting. Perfect. Here is Generation 2, exactly 270 words. Generation 2, 270 words. She expected anger, maybe even shouting. Instead, Naomi stepped off her porch in soft house slippers, calm as morning light, and walked straight toward the debris. The neighborhood fell quiet. Karen adjusted her sunglasses. I hope this teaches you to respect community standards, she said sweetly, that fake, syrupy tone she used at board meetings. Naomi tilted her head. Oh, I do respect standards, she replied gently, especially legal ones. A few neighbors exchanged confused looks. Naomi crouched near the wreckage and lifted a small, dust-covered object from the grass. It was a weatherproof security camera. Then she pointed to another, and another. 4 in total. Karen's smile twitched. You demolished private property, Naomi continued, still calm. Without a final compliance hearing, without certified notice, and without confirming recorded architectural approval. Karen laughed, too loudly. We voted. The board has authority. Naomi finally stood to her full height. Yes, she said softly, but not over pre-HOA structures protected under county grandfather statutes. Silence. One neighbor whispered, What does that mean? It means, Naomi replied, turning slowly toward the small crowd, this shed was legally untouchable. Karen's clipboard slipped slightly in her grip, and since the demolition was ordered publicly and recorded clearly, Naomi glanced at the cameras. Liability just became personal. Karen scoffed. You're bluffing. Naomi smiled, warm, almost kind. I never bluff. Across the street, a black sedan rolled to a stop. 2 men stepped out. One carried a folder thick enough to end careers. And this was only the beginning. The men in suits didn't hurry. They didn't need to. Power never rushes. One of them adjusted his tie and asked, Karen Mitchell? His voice was calm, too calm. Karen straightened instantly. Yes, and you are? Representing Mrs. Naomi Brooks. The word Mrs. landed differently. The neighborhood shifted. Naomi folded her arms loosely, almost shy. I tried to resolve this privately, she said. Emails, certified letters, even the approval form your board stamped and filed. Karen's face paled. That file was incomplete. The second man opened the thick folder. Oh no, he said pleasantly. It was archived. We obtained it directly from the county this morning. He held up the document, Karen's signature bold at the bottom. Murmurs erupted. Naomi stepped closer, voice still soft. You overrode an approved structure, ordered demolition without quorum, and used HOA reserve funds to pay the contractor. Karen snapped. That's ridiculous. The suited man flipped another page. Actually, the reserve account withdrawal cleared yesterday. We have the transaction ID. A neighbor gasped. That's our emergency fund. Karen's confidence cracked. This is harassment. Naomi shook her head gently. No, Karen. This is accountability. Then came the twist. We've also filed for a forensic audit, the attorney continued. Preliminary findings suggest repeated discretionary spending tied to a personal landscaping company registered to your brother. The silence turned heavy. Karen looked around. No applause this time, just eyes, watching, recording, calculating. Naomi gave her one final, almost sympathetic smile. You didn't demolish a shed, she said quietly. You demolished your presidency. Please like, comment, and subscribe. By sunset, the neighborhood group chat was on fire. Screenshots, bank statements, copies of invoices, Karen's brother's landscaping logo stamped across emergency beautification projects no one remembered approving. The applause she'd enjoyed that morning had turned into digital silence. No one defended her, not even the board. An emergency meeting was called that night in the cul-de-sac. Karen showed up overdressed, jaw tight, pearls back on like armor. "This is a misunderstanding," she began, voice trembling just slightly. Naomi stood near the back this time. No spotlight, no theatrics, just composure. One by one, board members distanced themselves. "We weren't aware of the reserve transfer. We assumed documentation existed. We trusted the president." Trusted. Trusted. Past tense. Then came the final blow. The county inspector stepped forward with a clipboard. "The demolished structure has been confirmed as a protected pre-association build. Reconstruction costs, penalties, and misuse of funds will be assessed personally against the authorizing party." Personally. Karen's name hung in the air like smoke. A neighbor raised their hand. "Motion to remove Karen Mitchell as HOA president." Seconded immediately. The vote wasn't close. Karen looked at Naomi, searching for triumph, mockery, something cruel, but Naomi only offered grace. "The new shed," she said softly, "will be rebuilt, larger, and compliant, just like before." A few neighbors laughed, not cruelly, relieved. Karen walked home without applause this time, just the echo of consequences. And Naomi? She didn't celebrate. She simply watered her lawn the next morning like nothing had happened. Because real power doesn't scream. It waits. Please like, comment, and subscribe.